What's it like being back in the team and playing regular footy after being out for a fair while?
Yeah, it's great. It was nice to come back into the team against Collingwood and get a couple of wins over the last couple of weeks. Last week was such an interesting finish to the game, and it was something that I haven't experienced before. I've been on the other end where Dave Mundy and Michael Walters and a few others have kicked goals after the siren for us, but for us to receive it that way, it was definitely a different experience. But we were hurting a little bit after the weekend, but we're certainly focused on Sydney this week, and we've trained well this week, and we're really looking forward to the challenge.
What was it like? Obviously there was the shutdown for a long time, and then you couldn't get into the team for a while after that. There was a lot of discussion about that, and a lot of fans who said they couldn't understand why you weren't getting a game. What was that period like for you, and how tough was it?
Yeah, it was a little bit challenging. I think throughout that period, I'd just put my head down and trained really hard throughout that period. And obviously, we were over in the Gold Coast, and that was a really good experience to go over there and be in the hub with all the teammates and the staff members over there. And I think during that period, obviously, it's a bit harder you don't get to, with the situation at the moment, we're not playing any waffle footy or anything like that. So we're playing practice games and definitely had lots of opportunities to show the coaching staff what I can do and how I can play. And Justin and I had lots of communication and lots of chats on what I needed to do to get back into the team. So it was very clear from his point of view what I needed to do, and I understood it. And I just put that into work with every training session and every game, and tried to get better, because obviously during that shutdown period we didn't get to train with anyone else. We're just training with basically one other person. So to come back and to be able to just apply my trade and to work on it, it was a challenging period, but I think that I've definitely come out a better player and a better person because of it, because I've had to work pretty hard to get back in, and hopefully because I've had to work really hard to get back in and prove my worth, that I'm not going to let go of that opportunity anytime soon.
Connor Blake from you, it's Paddy Sweetie from Channel 9 here, mate. In terms of exactly what you had to work on, what I guess was the one or two main points Justin said to you that you needed to go away and work on in your game, and in terms of that period, was it a period of frustration for you, given the fact that there was the scrimmages, it was reduced numbers, it was pretty hard to get your way back into a team, given that you hadn't really played much footy in that time?
Yeah, it wasn't really frustrating. It was more so just a challenging period where I had to go back and just work on a few things, work on a bit of polish around the contest, work on a little bit of defensive running patterns, bit of work on the inside. But generally, we've got quite a strong young group of midfielders now. Andy Brayshaw, Adam Chera, Caleb Sarong, they had really good pre-seasons. I think especially Caleb, as soon as he came into the footy club, he's improved really, really well. So there was a couple of guys and Darcy Tucker as well, you can't forget about him. He's obviously had that hamstring injury now, but there was a lot of younger guys than me that have had really good pre-seasons and showed their worth, and they probably pushed me out of the way, to be honest. And like Justin said in his media conference when I was returning into the team, he said that I'm a much better player than what I was 8 weeks ago when I came back in, and I certainly agree with that. It was a challenging period, but I worked really hard on certain little things I need to continue to work on, and I feel like now I'm a much more well-rounded player because of it. So yeah, it was super clear the whole time.
So it seems now got the clarity in terms of your career. You've been at 24 and sort of appeared that you might have been at the crossroads. Do you reckon that was sort of, I guess, not the kick up the butt, but just the wake-up call, I guess, and the clarity on what you needed to do to hopefully solidify a really strong career from here?
Yeah, I guess in terms of footy life, 24, you start to come into the prime of your career. Anywhere from 24 to 28, I sort of see as the prime of your career. And I think I view myself still a really young player that's still signed till the end of 2022. So I've got a lot of time under my belt to keep on improving, keep on helping the footy club get to where we want to get to. So I certainly wasn't panicking. I wasn't stressing that, I'm at the crossroads now, I've got to really come out of my skin and do something miraculous. It was more so, okay, what are the things that I need to work on? I've got the time. I've got a contract here for a couple of years, especially with the situation in the AFL, what's going to happen at the end of the year. I've got security. So I was very measured and very balanced the whole time, and knowing what exactly it was that I had to do. And I had the benefit of Justin and Josh Carr, the midfield coach, being very clear with what it was and what I had to do to get back into the team. And as I said before, now that I'm back in the team, I'm really looking forward to playing some good, consistent football, and hopefully we can keep playing some good football as a club as well. I think in the last few weeks we've really shown what we can do when we bring 22 committed guys to the Oval to play well, and hopefully we can keep on bringing this solid football to the table.
Connor, as much as it was pretty clear to you why you weren't inside the club, was sort of danced around the edges a bit, wasn't 100% clear. Were you sick of people asking you away from the club why you're not in the team?
I wasn't necessarily sick of it. Like with the industry that we're in and how interested people are in the game and how much Australians love football. Obviously, I was having a few conversations with friends and family and people that were just interested in knowing what it was, and I was happy to talk about it. And the whole time I can really hold my head high and say that I had a good attitude throughout the whole process. And it's not just myself that's had that challenging period of not playing and feeling as if you need to play some good football to get back into the team. There's the likes of Tommy North, who's playing some really good football in the practice games at the moment. There's Luke Valenti as well, that's really putting his hand up as well. Hugh Dixon is starting to play some great footy as well down back. So there's a few guys that were definitely in the same boat to me, and I think we really bonded during that period because we're obviously in little groups at the moment because of COVID. Those guys that were playing in the practice games, we really wanted to just play some good, consistent football. And if you keep doing that over a long period of time, eventually the wheel's going to turn and you're going to get your go and you're going to get your opportunity to perform. So I just kept that at the forefront of my mind, that all it is having a good attitude and keep persisting, and eventually you're going to get your opportunity to come back into the team. And now that I'm back in the team, I don't want to let that go.
Is there any ill feeling whatsoever towards the club because of that love?
Certainly not. Ever since I came to the football club at the end of 2014, I'm truly blessed for the opportunities that I've been given to play at this football club, to be in my 6th year now. As I said before, contracted until at least 2022. So I've got hopefully a long career left at the Fremantle Footy Club, and I can't see myself playing anywhere else. And I think that just to be able to experience life under Ross Lyon and now life under Justin Longmuir, just getting such a great view on how to play football and what it takes to stay in the AFL environment and to be playing as good footy as you can. You're going to come across challenges on a regular basis, and I think the ones that stay in the game the longest are the ones that can hold onto those challenges and really show their worth.
Connor, just on Cam McCarthy's departure, just as a teammate, how are you feeling about that, and what's been the response from the playing group?
Yeah, so we found out yesterday the same sort of situation as what the media found out as well. And yeah, Cam and the club had that discussion, and he found out that the club weren't going to renew his contract at the end of this year, and they came to the decision that what was best for him was for him to finish up. And I think that he's looking at opportunities at potentially playing out South Freo. I think that came out in the media this morning for the rest of the year. So Cam was honestly a really likeable member of our playing group, and he's someone that I always loved having a chat with. I haven't reached out to him yet, but as the dust settles, I'm sure I'm going to get in contact with him and talk to him and see how he's going. Obviously, it's unfortunate, and you want to be in the game for as long as possible, but I think Cam's a really good person, and he's got some great footballing talent, and when he applies himself to what he does, he can play some really good football. So football and non-football, we just hope the best for Cam in the future.
Do you feel that this is a fairly clear indication as to where Freo's sort of heading as far as a rebuild and looking towards the future?
I don't know, it's a bit of a hard one because Cam I think he's 25, so he's only a year older than me. So he definitely had a lot more football in him. I think that it just shows that you've just got to keep evolving and keep improving as a footballer. And I'm not talking about Cam's case specifically, it's more so just in general to be able to, as I said before, to be able to stay on an AFL list, you got to keep improving and getting the best out of yourself. And I think that the young guys that have come in that I spoke about before, they're certainly leading the charge with us getting better as a footy club. And I think under Justin, he's really encouraging us to be the best versions of ourselves and to keep bringing our strengths to the table. And we're just going to keep doing that.
Connor, how's your shoulder going? And after you did that, was there a point where you feared it might put you out?
Yeah, my shoulder's feeling pretty good. I responded really well to the incident that happened against Hawthorn a couple of weeks ago. It's still a little bit sore at times, but I'm getting a lot of treatment from the physios, and I had a scan on it after the game and it showed no structural damage at all. So it was actually nice to get a bit of good news from Kenny Withers for once after the other couple of injuries that I've had throughout my career. So that shoulder's going well. I'm getting lots of help from the physio staff and the medical staff, and we're doing a great job. So it's feeling really good.
And I mean, when it actually happened out on the ground, did it cross your mind that, gee, I've taken so long to get into this team, you know, I just can't believe my luck that this has happened?
Yeah, I'd be lying to you if I were to say that I wasn't thinking about that. I think for that sort of split second, when I was in a fair bit of pain and I was getting the treatment, and that was my second game in after being out for quite a while and having a few injuries in my career so far, it did come into my mind. But then, especially playing out the game and then getting the scan the next day, it sort of got rid of all those thoughts. And hopefully, fingers crossed, touch wood, I can continue on without any other too many issues and keep playing some good football.
And just on your role in your midfield, can you just explain a little bit about what's asked of you? And do you think if sort of you're able to stand up well in there going to the future, does that increase the appetite to send Fife and Walters forward more?
Yep, so I'm pretty clear with my role. Josh Carr and JL have made it very clear what they want from me in the midfield, and that's just to hunt the ball, use the ball well, and to set up really well in there. And I think that when we have guys like Fifey coming through the midfield and Sonny Walters coming through the midfield, they're really classy and really good football players, and they generally are the ones that are the attacking ones. So I've always had quite a defensive mindset when I come into the midfield. And with the role that Caleb Sarong's playing at the moment, where he's going to most likely most weeks their best midfielder, he's got that really defensive role, and then mine's quite a balanced role where, as I said before, hunting the football, keeping my shape, and then trying to use the ball as best as possible and set us up on an attacking and defensive point of view.
What's it like to play with Sarong in the centre square, and as you mentioned, to get such big jobs at such a young age? How's he handling that?
He's handling it really well. He's a very balanced young footballer and young man, and ever since he came through the door, he's been really mature, and he's certainly got what it takes to have a long, strong, successful career in the AFL if he keeps working hard and training the way that he does. He's someone that's got a really strong body, and he's got fantastic skills, and he's just his ability to read the game and to make the right decision is fantastic. So Caleb, he's up for the challenge every week. He's constantly watching tape with Kari. He's constantly in conversations with Fifey about what their best midfielders are going to bring, and he's someone that really wants to learn all the time. So he's someone that, as long as he keeps bringing that attitude and that mindset, he's going to have some really good football games.
Connor,
We'll wrap it up there, guys. I think that's enough questions.
Can we get one in about Liam Henry, Britt?
Yeah, we'll do Liam Henry and then we'll call it there. Thanks, guys.
Legend. Connor, you're probably as well placed as any, given you've spent a fair bit of time with that sort of second group with Liam this year. Obviously, a lot of hype around him. The Freo fans can't wait to see him a first-round pick. What is it that it's so special about him that you see in him?
Yeah, most definitely. I think there's always going to be hype when anyone comes into a club as a top 10 pick, and he's someone that's had to work on his strength in his body for quite a while. And I think throughout the games that I've played with him, Liam's got a really strong sense of goal. He's very skillful. He runs hard. He chases hard, and he's had to bide his time in playing a few practice games. And to be debuting in your first year, it's a credit to him and the work that he's done. And of course, playing in the Indigenous round, the Sir Doug Nicholls round, it's a great thing for him and his family, and he's really looking forward to it. And I can't wait to run out with him, and he's just going to show a lot of fight, a lot of passion, and hopefully he gets on the end of a couple and has a good game.